Dallas, what I want to talk about is the guy that was quote unquote wrongfully deported, Kilmar Garcia. Are you down for that, or is there a different topic you'd rather talk about?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so
him or Carmelo.
we could talk about Carmelo too. We'll see if we have time. So what do you know? Have you seen my Snap story today about Kilmar Garcia?
I don't think I did.
Okay,
I think I was out walking my dog.
So the content that I made yesterday was talking about, first of all, how he's a gang member, and he got deported early. Not wrongfully deported. He was gonna get deported, but deported early. And then I go and find out that he came here 2011, but a judge told him in 2019 that we are going to deport you, but he hasn't committed any crimes since being here. So I'm like, other than being here illegally. But that was when he was 16, escaping quote-unquote persecution from gangs in El Salvador. So he's from El Salvador. And at the time, it was very dangerous, and they were forcing people into gangs. And I was like, okay, so it sounds like I'm wrong, and it sounds like this guy is not a part of a gang, and it sounds like he was really actually, as a 16-year-old, trying to escape that, and hasn't committed any crime since he's been here. You know, it kind of sounds fucked that we not just deported him, but we sent him to Setco, or whatever that gang prison is called in El Salvador. It sounded kind of fucked that we did that. Come to find out, that court case in 2019, the judge, there was an informant who gave a testimony, and the judge deemed the informant as legitimate, and that informant said that Garcia is in fact a part of MS-13 as a teenager. And at that time, he would have been living in the United States or whatever, but he would have been 8 years older, so 24. He would have been 24 at that time, I think. And the informant said, hey, when you were in El Salvador, you were a part of MS-13. And all these judges hate the current administration. Like, they be blocking everything Trump does, right?
Yeah.
And so it would seem to me that the judges are typically on the side of the liberals. And we have this judge over here saying, this informant is legitimate. I believe what they're saying. So that means that the court decided that this guy, Garcia, was in fact a part of MS-13, which means he entered the country illegally as a gang member, and had been here ever since. And then we deported him early to the gang prison in El Salvador. So what did we do wrong here is now my question.
He's here illegally and is what do you say, drug lord, gang lord?
MS-13.
Well, he's not a gang. He's not a lord. He's just a part of a gang. He's a gang member, and one of the worst gangs. I mean, I've known about MS-13 since I was a teenager.
Yeah.
You know.
They're dangerous.
So, yeah, I mean, and
all like, tatted on their head.
Riddance.
It's the guys that are have tattoos all over their face and stuff.
Yeah, and I've seen a picture of this guy. He doesn't have any tattoos on him and stuff like that. But it's interesting. The photo that has been of Garcia that keeps going around on the media and stuff is a photo of like a very normal, kind of nice looking guy. He's smiling and stuff, and like, I get it. There's reason to like kind of look at this situation and be like, this is fucked. But that's kind of the point, isn't it? Like, how did we get here? Why do the liberals fail to ask that question all the damn time? Is how did we get here? Is that the current admin's fault, or is it we're letting people in here illegally and not deporting them when we're supposed to, which leads to these ridiculous situations?
Unfortunate.
You know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't think the Democrats really care. Whatever helps them the most, it's just the way it goes, you know. They don't care about the American citizen.
The Democrats always want, like a lot of the shit they say sounds great on paper or whatever. Like, we would love free college, we would love this and that, we would love to let everyone in, free food, whatever. But the Republicans tend to be more realistic. It's like, listen, we just can't do that. You know, give us a logical way that we can let all these people in, that we can give you free college. Where's that money going to come from? Where are we going to get all these resources from? It's just, we look at it in a more logical and realistic approach. Mm-hmm. Where they think they just look at it, it's all, you know, roses and whatever.
Well, then, so real quick on that, like, to anyone who may be listening to this conversation later on, it's, you know, I think all three of us in this discussion would mostly identify as a conservative, but, you know, not because we've always been that way. Like, I don't know about both of you specifically, but I know for me, like, I'm honestly, historically, a pretty liberal guy, but I'm also pragmatic, and to your point, Predict, like, I'm practical. So like just like you're saying, like you have to look at things like, dude, I would love for education to be borderline free, if not completely free. Healthcare definitely needs to be something close to free.
Affordable.
You know, we need to fix that. We're the richest country in the world and we're the sickest, and like that's a problem. And to your point, like whether you call them the liberals or you call them the extreme far left, which seems to be the extreme far left is kind of their entire party now. Yeah, you're right. They completely ignore facts and logic and practicality, and they think that like 2 + 2 = 5 somehow.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, tell me how you're going to do this. Let me know where you're going to get the money to do this. You know, you say free college, you say free healthcare, but it's like, where's that money coming from?
Well, back in the day, I feel like the Democrats had like a very strong presence, and like everyone back then, I feel like was more Democrat because they were more about like stopping wars, more about helping the economy and all that. But now it's like the agenda's like flipped. Now it's like they don't really care about America. It seems like they really hate America.
They're empathetic to a fault. I forget who said that, but some podcaster we watch. Fuck this guy with spikes. They said that maybe it was Jordan Peterson, but I don't hold my feet to the fire on that one. But he said, where you know, America and this Western civilization has become so empathetic that we're willing to let our daughters and wives get raped by illegal immigrants who are terrorists and gang members who have a long history of violence. We're willing to put the safety of ourselves and our women and children on the line over empathy.
Yeah, exactly, bro.
It's just like who lets those people in?
Oh, it's just so weird, bro.
Fucking
Trump says he wants to take down the cartel. All of a sudden, a lot of people are siding with the cartel. It's like, it just doesn't make any sense. They're brainwashed to hate. They're told who to hate and who to not support, and they just no reason why. They're just told to do that, and they do it.
It's crazy because we all know who let them in. We all know.
Oh, I did not mean to do that.
Damn,
they let them in so they could flood the polls.
Yep, flood the polls
and then their leaders, you know, they're so easily swayed, bro. They're like, yeah, we care about you, and every time they're like, we're gonna do this and that for you, and they never do it. BLM is a huge example of that. Yeah, they donate to this organization to bring awareness to Black Lives Matter, and then here you are, they bought how many mansions for themselves?
So I only know about one mansion that they bought, actually.
I think,
really?
I heard it was like two or three.
Now, but that's my only like little nitpicky critique on that one, because everything else you said is exactly correct. And actually, I just did a video about this, about how big of a scam Black Lives Matter was, because, and I marched, right? So like anyone who wants to get mad about that, I marched in Austin, Texas, which was one of the most dangerous places to do it at the time. You know, people were getting shot directly in the face with rubber bullets. There was that video of that chick that got shot directly in the chest from like, I mean, less than 50 feet away, got shot directly in the chest with a tear gas canister, which was moving very fast, and I mean, struck her with incredible force. I mean, it was a horrible video. That happened in Austin, and now thankfully I didn't experience any of. I mean, it was kind of close to that, but anyway, I never got hurt or anything. But, you know, so I marched for BLM, and it was really hard for me to make peace with the fact that I had been completely duped by this fucking scam. And nothing proves it was a scam more than the fact that all we got was a bunch of property damage and a bunch of money that got donated that helped basically nobody. Nothing fucking changed.
Except the people that hosted the organization.
Yeah.
What's crazy, too, is that around the protests are just, like, random bricks laying around, you know. It's just like why are there random bricks next to this protest?
The
bricks are expensive.
Of bricks were very, and the people getting dropped off by the busload.
Yep.
Dude, like, no, and I mean literally, like, I mean charter buses, you know, people showing up, and some people have I'm gonna get to that brick thing in a second. Some people say like, oh, you know, people showing up in buses is a common thing at protests, like, and that is kind of true. But the thing is when you have buses specifically dropping people off in dark alleys at night, you know, why are you doing that? Like, if this is a real free, open, public protest, why are we being that sketchy? With the bricks, a comment I read online when I saw a picture of that was, I thought this person made a lot of sense, was, materials are not cheap. And
Nope,
you
not at all.
don't just leave, like I've seen big spools of some kind of wire laying around, and like spray painted on the giant wooden spool it says, "This is not copper wire," right? And it's to let people know, like, because like thieves be stealing copper like a motherfucker. And so, and yeah, you might see some wood laying around on construction sites overnight and stuff like that, but like bricks are very expensive, and no, you wouldn't, especially when protests and shit are going on, like you would not just leave bricks laying around for anyone to just come steal, because literally bricks are so useful and so expensive that literally another construction company might come with their forklift and just come jack your shit.
Yep.
And I'm sorry to say it, but the construction company that's likely to do that is going to be the company that is operating off the books, and it's because everyone, including the owner, is an illegal immigrant.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
Any way to cut corners. The liberals will always act like they're for everybody, but as soon as they're given the chance to be selfish for themselves, they'll take that. I don't. Did you guys watch Mr. Beast, the Beast Games, whatever, the show?
I did a little bit. I didn't finish it.
There was this episode, basically, one of the challenges was, I'm trying to think. So basically this person, how do I explain this? I'm trying to think what plan. There was this person that would go up top, right? They were like voted to be a captain, kind of, but just for that round. And they were given prompts to pick someone. So this one round, they're like, okay, just pick a person to put on one train track. So they picked this guy named Dino. And so he's on the track, and then Dino's the one that she liked the least, and she's like, okay, now pick someone else to put on the other track. So she picked the person she liked the most, and then what he had them do was he let Dino and the friend, the two on the track, each pick one more person. So Dino, of course, picked someone that he thought the captain might like. This way they don't get voted out, or chosen to be kicked out. And then the one guy was all like, that was a very selfish thing to do. You only picked her because she's friends with the captain. That would make her choice hard. And you're like, basically, damn straight, bro. He doesn't want to be voted out. He wants to win this game too. This is millions of dollars. And that same guy that gave him shit, then there were 10 contestants left, and they were given $1 million to split. However they wanted, $1 million to split. And it was anonymous. They would come out of the house one at a time and take a certain amount. And it started off, they could each take $100,000 and walk away. And so the first girl comes out, takes $100,000. The second guy comes out, he takes like $200,000. And then this third guy came out, the one that was giving Dino shit, and he's like an LGBTQ whatever advocate and all this and that, and he's all about being selfless and shit. This guy takes $640,000 from the pile.
Jeez.
He took over half, and I'm like, this is what I'm talking about, bro. They always preach being selfless and not selfish, not just being for yourself. And then here he is, and then his excuses were, this is, who's gonna feed my kids, who's gonna do this and that. It's like, that's what I'm saying exactly, bro. Be realistic. I gotta show you the clip, because I'm sure it's a little confusing off the explanation, but I'll have to show you the clip of it. It's sad.
No, but I mean, I get it. Like, what you're saying is like this guy who clearly makes a lot of noise about being, for everyone else, and which would, some socialist ideas is what we're talking about here, right?
Yeah,
was the first person to be greedy and take more than everybody else. Now, see, the issue with that, and I'm not saying I agree with what I'm about to explain. I'm also not saying I disagree with it, honestly. But I think there's a lot of people who would argue, okay, well, especially along the lines of race, there are people who need, we're just going to use the R word, reparations, right? Let's play one more game, and then after this next game, we'll go to rank. And I when you think about the bombing of Rosewood and some other events that, as far as I know, are absolutely true, and these were times where the black community was starting to actually make a lot of money for themselves and become, much more educated, and they were starting to integrate with upper middle class society, and whites got really pissed off about this and put an end to it with lots of fire and murder on multiple occasions across multiple locations, and when you're the descendant of those people, which, mind you, wasn't that fucking long ago, right? This was like, I mean, people lived to be 100 years ago. I mean, that was one person ago that happened, right? And when you're the descendant of those people, and you're a descendant of someone who's extremely poor and had all of their shit burned and taken away from them, like, you're not likely to have a lot of money, and you're not likely to have a lot of education, and you know, maybe our country should be sympathetic to that, and I don't know if reparations is the answer, but we got to do something for these people. We are fucking these people up, and not anymore. Like, you know, the average white person isn't actively plotting against the demise of black people, but the system is the way that it is, and past events have led to what they have, and, you know, I think we need to be some kind of sympathetic to that. We need to do something to, I don't know if fix the problem is the right way to say it, but I hope you guys kind of understand what I'm saying with that. But at the same time, again, Predict, like, what you say still is true. The problem is when those people who make that argument think that white people today are actively working against the black community, and, you know, we have statistics that show that black people commit the most common violent crimes, not only against themselves but against every other race, and they want to, you know, talk about how, you know, cops are treating black people very unfairly all the time. Like, that's just not fucking true. Sure, it happens, but it's not common. And the numbers really play that out. We saw
it just seems that way because the media blows it up the most.
Yeah, we saw that, you know, I don't know if you guys saw this, but there was that black activist group leader who just got arrested recently, who was, like, literally attacking the cop, dude. Like, he started attacking the cop. And we have the body cam footage of it, and there was this whole media narrative about how this guy, you know, fucking police brutality against black people. And it's like, dude, did you watch the footage? What are you guys saying?
There was this video a while ago of this activist, you know, against cops and gun violence, whatever. And I give him props. He accepted to be in a video, basically like almost like a scenario that these cops go through. I'll have to send the clip of this as well. It's short, but basically, he was put in situations where he had to make a, you know, a kill or don't kill decision, split second, and he was very surprised at how quickly things can turn. You know, the guy disappears for a second, and then he reappears and takes your life. It is really. That's why you gotta just be, you know, respectful, be slow, talk about what you're gonna do. Did he take my shot? I'll send you the clip, actually. It's short. It's interesting
I
to watch.
think I know what you're talking about. I think I saw that too.
A couple of years ago.
And you know, and that, see, okay, dude, I'm gonna say this every political discussion I ever have. I bring this up because everything leads back to this. Is what this is. You could chalk up the sickness of America to this, as far as mental sickness goes, or like perspective sickness, maybe I would call it. Is people are not even attempting to spend time in other people's shoes to the point to where you understand what it's like to be them in their job and in their profession and in their life. Like, when you understand how hard a cop's job really is and how much they put on the line every day, and you know, you have families who, you know, open the door up at night to the comrades of a police officer, and the wife knows what that means. It means their husband died that night in, you know, serving the goddamn country. And this is coming from someone who I was down for defund the police in 2020. I was down for that shit. I'm no longer down for that shit. That shit is psychotic.
Oh, hey, at least you were willing to be open-minded about it, you know, and open your mind to that shit. A lot of people just are so stubborn that they cannot be wrong, and they'll never change their mind, even with all the facts and shit. It's just just an example of it's whatever the news blows up, you know. It just seems hella relevant. It's like you've been hearing about all the airplane incidents this year, whatever. Crashes. Yeah. Apparently, and I don't know. I checked this a couple weeks ago. It's actually less than last year, and it's less than years before.
Is it really?
Just seems like it just seems like a lot more because the media is making such a much bigger presence about it.
Well, okay, so now, hang on, because the one that went down in Washington, D.C.
When it collided with the helicopter?
The helicopter? Well, that, and they struck like what? It was like 50 passengers on that plane.
What,
that was the first
plane, right?
Yeah. It was the first commercial accident since for like 10 or 15 years. It'd been quite a while since that happened.
Yeah. Well, no, not necessarily that. I just mean like because like people are like, well, everything's going wrong with the planes. You know, that was a helicopter's fault. The plane was operating just fine. But I mean like
True.
like mechanical failures and shit. People are like, well, what the fuck's going on? It's like, well, actually, you know, it's a lot less. Maybe not a lot less.
Okay, so
but
you're
it's less
saying
than
there's been less confirmed mechanical failures that have led to like crashes this year than, or like, you know, recently than in past?
Or necessarily maybe just incidents, not necessarily crashes.
Okay.
But yeah, things like that, if you look it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, I'm really concerned about the fucking flight industry, bro. Like, you definitely won't catch me getting on a helicopter unless, like, my life depends on it, and I'm avoiding planes pretty much at all costs right now. Because, I mean, when you look at everything that went on with Boeing, and I don't know if you guys saw Senator Hawley, something like that.
When he was interrogating the guy, basically?
Yeah, when he's interrogating the Boeing CEO, and he's like, you're strip mining Boeing. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, Woo. Well, the guy got a 30 million raise, while the other guys over like 8 years got a 1% raise.
Yeah, and they got doors flying off in the middle of the fucking sky at 10,000 plus feet. Yeah, 20,000 feet in the air. You got doors flying off your planes, and you got millions of dollars in raises. That's to you. That's crazy.
Yeah. And you left those astronauts up in the International Space Station.
Yeah. All right. See,
didn't they build the rocket that they were on?
What?
Boeing helps build the rockets for NASA, right?
Boeing built the capsule, the rocket that, or how do you even say it? Boeing built the capsule that they went up there on. I don't know who made the rocket. Maybe NASA made the rocket or something. But the thing that attached, that they like were in, and that attached to the International Space Station, that thing was made by Boeing. And I could be wrong about this. My understanding is that's what failed, and that's what you know, made it so where they couldn't come back. And you know, of course,
and you got SpaceX out here, you already know.
Yeah, Elon offered to go get them very quickly. I mean, I think that was happening while the presidential campaigns were happening, you know, like late 2024 last year. Yeah. And Biden was like, and we all know Biden isn't the one that said no, because Biden isn't even a real human anymore. He's fucking dementedly just gone. But someone in his administration, they said it was Biden who said it, but someone in his administration said, no, we can't afford Elon looking good here. So no, you cannot go get him. And so for political reasons, they denied SpaceX permission to go get him. And then, of course, I mean, I wonder what would have happened. I think they probably would have said yes eventually, but I wonder how long it would have taken if Trump hadn't won.
Yeah, good point.